Summary of High-Tech Startup. The Complete Handbook for Creating Successful New High-Tech Companies. By John L. Nesheim. Startups and their funding. High-growth ventures have emerged as economic powerhouses in the United States, generating thousands of jobs, diffusing technological knowledge and creating a culture of innovation that has ripple effects throughout every type of business organization. Indeed, their impact has changed business around the world, explains David Ben-Daniel, professor of entrepreneurship at Cornell University's Johnson Graduate School of Management. Many of the facts about typical high-tech startups contradict popular stereotypes. The chances are 6 in a million that an idea for a high-tech business will ultimately become a successful company that goes public. Here are the real numbers. Fewer than 20% of funded startups go public. Founder CEOs own less than 4% of their high-tech companies after the initial public offering, although booms like the early internet years can raise that to 10% and higher. Most startups' business plans aren't up to par and, therefore, are not well received. Venture capitalists finance only 6 of every 1,000 business plans received, on average. Venture capital investors own 50% to 70% of a startup by the time it goes public. Mergers or liquidations occur in 30% of startup companies. Bankruptcy hits 60% of the high-tech companies that succeed in getting venture capital. Having a founder who has already been a CEO greatly increases the firm's chances of getting startup funding. In lieu of that, having a complete, experienced management team will raise your chances of getting funding. About $10 billion is committed to the venture capital pool managed by more than 2,000 individuals in more than 500 firms, mostly in the United States, particularly in Silicon Valley, with a few in Europe and Asia. Mixed sources of venture funding are now common, and include the development divisions of large corporations. Investors are requiring increasingly higher returns on their investments, meaning that founders have to give up a lot more ownership in their companies than they once did. Individual investors, called angels, get startups off the ground and often provide prior hands-on help before the firm seeks its next round of funding from venture capitalists. Bootstrap startups get their first round of funds from the founder's personal savings, friends, and relatives. Startups frequently get initial funding from their independently wealthy founders and from suppliers, landlords, and business partners. While raising funds marks the beginning of a company, actually capitalizing is a never-ending process. CEOs are continuously concerned with raising needed capital long after the company is up and running. However, the CEO can stay married while hustling. While a startup's high-stress atmosphere takes a toll on staffers' personal lives, research shows that burnout, heart attacks, marriage problems, and divorces are no more frequent than in other high-tech jobs. Growth stages. Several key stages comprise the early life of a startup: the idea, developing the idea, the founder's commitment, leaving your current employer, creating a business plan, gathering a management team, raising seed capital, closing your capital and incorporating, opening an office, building your first product, secondary rounds of financing, launch of the first product, raising working capital, and conducting an initial public offering, IPO. Startups must have solid legal help from the beginning to deal with intellectual property and corporate law. The business plan. Venture capitalists say that most of the business plans they see are just plain bad. Entrepreneurs who obtain funding create business plans that work because they focus on 3 areas: 1. Showing the startup's distinctive competence, 2. Showing the company's competitive advantage, and 3. Showing management's plan to sustain that advantage. The third item is of utmost importance. Investors want to see more than just technology, they want to see a plan that shows advantage. The timing involved in sending out your business plan to venture capitalists can be tricky. A typical 3-man venture capital office receives some 1,000 business plans a year, about 4 per day. At that rate, just reading the plans could easily take up every minute of time. Therefore, plans are screened and only certain ones are read. The rest are returned within 1 to 4 months, filed or discarded. To make sure your plan gets read and considered, use these successful attention getters. Start with a personal introduction. This is every expert's major recommendation, including venture capitalists themselves. Visit first, don't send in your plan until after at least one personal meeting. Don't get too excited if the venture capitalists seem interested. Some CEOs of startups had extensive meetings with a particular venture firm, but were then rejected. Later, that venture capital firm funded a directly competing startup instead. Tell your story, show your plan as soon as possible, preferably at your second meeting. Negotiate, don't teach, one CEO reported. After weeks and weeks of work, several presentations, and reference checks, the venture firm said, "No, I got angry when I realized they were learning our business on our nickel." This CEO said he would never again spend time with a venture capitalist who lacked hands-on experience in his industry. Focus on the cash, treat every contact as part of the overall negotiation for money. Realize that business plans are everything and nothing. Successful startups usually abandon their original plans as business gets underway. Write an impressive executive summary. That's all most readers will take the time to read before meeting you. They take the rest in at the first presentation meeting. Write well, most plans are poorly written. Content counts, keep the packaging crisp, not overdone. A professional look is important, but venture capitalists often tear off expensive bulky covers and binders, fancy pictures and thick sections with copies of magazine articles, and throw them away. The business plan should include executive summary, the purpose of the plan, including the amount of funding needed and how it will be used. Customer need and business opportunity, the product or service idea proposition. Business strategy and key milestones, the plan to outmaneuver the competition. Marketing plan, the company's solution to meet a basic need, the ideal customer proposition, market segment and size. Distribution channels, partners, business model, branding, sales strategy, customer support, 5-year forecast, competition, positioning and unfair advantage. Operations plan, plans for engineering, website, manufacturing, outsourcing, facilities and administration. Management and key personnel, organization, staffing plan, detailed resumes of leadership, incentive compensation program and company culture plan. Financial projections, overview and key assumptions, 5-year forecasts, income statement, balance sheet, cash flow statement. Personal rewards and costs. Everyone has heard great success stories about founders and secretaries alike who gained instant fortunes when their startups went public. Due to the percentages the venture capitalists own, founders other than the CEO rarely own more than 4% of a company at the time of its initial public offering, IPO. The high watermark was set by Netscape, which went public only 16 months after its founding. A 1% share was worth $10.7 million at IPO time. By contrast, a 1% share of Microsoft was worth $5.9 million after 11 years. The median value of companies at IPO time is about $1.5 million per percentage point. Many people join startups for reasons other than money, including being part of a winning idea, the excitement of the atmosphere, and the opportunities for creativity and patents. They like the chance to present papers at technical conferences, industry seminars, trade shows, and other venues, get media attention, earn accolades within the business world, grow personally and professionally, and seek the opportunity for faster promotion. Staggering personal costs can be part of a startup, such as increased stress, strained relations with family and friends, working round the clock, less time for exercise, fitness, diet and health, increased psychological pressure, the need to handle make or break decisions quickly, a heightened awareness of the risk of failure, increased pressure from peers to succeed, and a sharp increase in personal introspection. Many startup founders, managers and employees find themselves asking, "Who am I? Why am I doing this? Will this give me personal and professional fulfillment?" Going public. The group that assembles to prepare a company's IPO will work together closely for a short, intense period. They begin by writing the prospectus and, in the US market, preparing related securities and exchange commission registration documents. The team includes lawyers, accountants, investment bankers, and even printers. These print shops specialize in printing, in strictest confidence, large numbers of absolutely accurate securities documents, such as prospectuses, at any time of the day or night, any day of the week, and in distributing them in hours to virtually any location in the world. Timing is everything in planning an IPO date. Wait too long, and business could slip away. On the other hand, waiting could be productive if it means higher sales of the product or service and greater value per share. The following factors trigger the timing of going public. Startup needs a large amount of capital. An IPO costs less than another round of venture capital. Everyone's ready to cash in their chips and get liquid, especially the venture capitalists. The startup is now large enough and profitable enough to take public. The stock market is hungry for new high-tech IPOs. The whole team wants the prestige of being part of a successful high-tech company. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, regulations require the shares of a private company to be registered when you have 500 shareholders.